In this video, we're going to look at a unique way to apply a border radius and create what appears to be something like a hand-drawn button. And then we're going to add some nice effects for the hover state. So stay tuned and we'll get started building right away. In my HTML sheet here, In my HTML page here, I have some section landmarks with buttons in them, and each button has a label of Sharpie or ballpoint pen, and I've got a thick and a thin class assigned appropriately. In my style sheet, I've got some basic styles just to set this up so that it's kind of right in the middle of the page here. Some basic flex styles. And I'm a big fan of large, thin fonts. So that's why my H1 is styled that way. So first thing we're going to do is we want to get the button styled. And we do that by targeting that button element. You can use the selector to target it. You don't have to create a specific class for the button. Let's target the background first, and let's set that to transparent. And what will happen as soon as we set that to transparent, it will remove the light gray standard background that comes with a button out of the box. Okay, we'll add some padding. We'll add a margin. And I'm going to add a transition, but that's only because towards the end of this little project, I want to add in some hover abilities, and I want to time the transition when a user hovers over that button. So we'll set it to all 0.5 seconds and ease. Then we'll set the button color. We'll set it to that one. And set our font size. Add some letter spacing. And let's also go ahead and add a box shadow. And that way it's going to start out as though the button is on top of the page and not exactly flush with the page itself. And at the end, as you saw in the example I showed you, when you hover over it, it's going to kind of push down onto the page. So we'll set this at 20 pixels, 38, 34, -26, and we'll set an RGBA because I want to use the opacity. Okay, and let's go ahead and resave this. See what we've got here. You can see the box shadow down below. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add the thick and thin classes. And initially these are going to just look like squares until we apply this unique border radius property that I was talking about earlier. So border, set this to 7 pixels with a solid to 0800178. Okay, and then another thin one. Let's do 2 pixels, solid, and we'll use the same color for that as well. And now when we refresh that, we get our initial buttons. This is how we want to get everything started. When we set our border radius, if you set it with a single value, it's going to apply to all sides of the element. So let's do a little test here. If I do 2em on either side and I refresh that, I'm going to get kind of a round button here. Now, if I did, and I don't need to make it so pronounced, so let's do 1 EM. And then if I did 2 values, what that's going to do is it's going to do um, the first value here will be the top left corner and the bottom right corner. The second value will be the top right corner and the bottom left corner. So just to show you that there is a significant difference here, let's refresh that. So I've got 1 EM border radius up here and 1 EM border radius down here. But on my top right and bottom left, I have three EMs, which is why it's more pronounced. Okay. Now, if I added a third and fourth value, what that does is this targets the top left, this targets the top right, this targets the bottom right, and this targets the bottom left. So you'll see an even more pronounced on the bottom left here when I refresh this. Okay, and that's the most pronounced out of all of these. You've got the top left is at 1. This side over here on the top right is at 3. This is at 2, which is not as pronounced as the 3. And then you have this super pronounced edge or curve, which is at 5 EM. Then if you set, where things get really interesting is when you set 8 values. And you can set 8 values separated by a slash. And that slash differentiates between the first 4 values, which is your horizontal radius, and the second 4 values, which is your vertical radius. So if I just kind of go in reverse here and go 2 EM, 3 EM, and 1 EM, okay, and kind of watch what happens here, okay, it's going to give us a really odd shaped button. It almost starts to look hand drawn. And that's where these various radii come in. So you've got the top left here, you've got the horizontal at 1 EM, but you've got the vertical at 5 EM, okay, which is why it's got that nice kind of slight curve on it, but it's not a perfectly straight line. It doesn't look as uniform as it would if you were to put one value on all of this and have it kind of all be the same angle all the way around. And the same works for each one of these values. Now, what we're going to do for this particular project is we're going to set these in pixels. So I've got 255, 35, 225, and 45. And then we'll separate the horizontal from the vertical. We'll do 25 pixels, 255 pixels, 35 pixels, and 255 again. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and save that. And oh, something went wrong there. See that I forgot. The littlest things will throw off your application. Okay, so now we can see it's not a perfectly straight line. Looks like it could have been drawn with a pen, or in this case, a Sharpie. And you can take these, this is just an example. You can take these and continue playing with them and make it look like a child drew them. I mean, if you stretch out these lines far enough. Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a hover state so that when you hover over the button, it presses down onto the page. And we'll do that by setting a hover state on the button itself. We'll do a box shadow. And we'll set that to 2 pixels, 8 pixels, because we want to get it pretty close to the page. -6, and we'll set our color to, we'll do a 3 on this one. All right, and I'll go ahead and save that and reload. And now you can see as you press down on it, it kind of tries to level itself with the page much closer, but you can still tell that it's got kind of a 3D effect above the page. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please stay tuned for other videos throughout the week. Please hit the like button if you like this video and subscribe, of course, and I will see you next time.